Hey everybody, how's it going? It's me, Brandon, back again with another episode. And today we're going to be talking about my opinions on the Xbox Showcase. Yesterday was the big Xbox Showcase in June, and this was the big one. This was the one where Microsoft needed to show what they had to compete with Sony, what they have in store for the rest of the year, and what is to come. So, a lot of the games they did show, I was pretty impressed with. I have a list here, and I'm not going to be covering everything, but I want to cover some of the games that I thought were interesting or had me really excited. And I cannot start this list without mentioning the long-awaited, always wanted, Persona 3 remake with Persona 3 Reload. Now, when I first got into the Persona series, it was with Persona 4 Golden. That game is still one of my favorite games of all time. Easily in my top 10, maybe even in my top 5 favorite games. Persona 4 Golden was phenomenal. And then I went ahead and I went to go play Persona 3 and Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable. Now, the biggest problem is that there's 3 different versions of Persona 3, and there's no definitive edition. I'd argue that FES is the best, but Portable has gameplay options and characters that aren't available in the other games, and the original game is still really good, so we're finally getting a remake, and I think that story is so good that you may be able to argue the Persona 3 remake could be the best Persona, but it's all subjective. It's all subjective. I love Persona 4 and 3 so much. 5 is excellent as well, but just 3 and 4 are on another level for me, and they are very seminal games for me. So I'm very excited to see a remake of an awesome game. And up next, the show opener, which was Fable. Fable is back, and it's made by Playground Games, the Forza team, and that looked really cool. A lot of this stuff was in-game and in-engine type showcasing, and I thought Fable looked really cool. I wish we saw more gameplay, but from what I saw, it has the charm there. That British humor is still relevant, and Fable, just to get that name again, just to finally see that IP come back. Fable 2 was one of those really special games for me back on the Xbox 360. And I even replayed Fable Anniversary maybe 5 or so years ago when the Xbox One S came out, and that game still holds up. I love this franchise so much, and I'm happy that it's finally coming back. A game that really surprised me with its beautiful art style was South of Midnight, a Compulsion Games new title for Xbox. This art style was beautiful. It almost looked stop motion, and it had a really interesting story premise, or at least the idea with the atmosphere and mood. I loved how this game looks, and I'm really excited to see more about South of Midnight. And after that, there was a game that I've been interested in the franchise, but I haven't delved enough time into these games, and that's Payday 3. Payday 3 looks really cool. You know, it's a co-op shooter. You get to rob a bank, and you do it your own way, and you're dressed up in these crazy masks, and it looks like you have abilities now. It just looks like a fun time, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from Payday 3. Up next, we got a really cool surprise from Obsidian Games. Now, when we first saw Avowed, it was basically their take on Skyrim. Well, now they finally showed it off. They showed their gameplay, and oh man, does this game look cool. Avowed looks so interesting, and it honestly looked like an Assassin's Creed game at first, but we were quickly swerved into seeing what the game actually was, and that is, of course, Avowed. This game looks really neat. I'm excited to see more from it. The gameplay, the art style, it looks very fun. It's going to be a Game Pass game. And as always, I try to buy these games if I think they are worth it. And this looks like one that I may end up having to buy outside of my time with Game Pass. So maybe I can play it on the Steam Deck or something like that. But Avowed looks really great. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Now, when I first built my PC, my new build, back in September of last year. One of the first games I wanted to christen my new PC with was Cyberpunk 2077. That game was a blast. The atmosphere, the world, Night City was something that I've always wanted to see in a video game, and Blade Runner being one of my favorite films, and then Blade Runner 2049, this felt like a dream come true for me. The ultimate cyberpunk experience with Keanu Reeves and made by CD Projekt Red. Now, I'm not going to argue. This game had a terrible launch, but I didn't play it in that state at all. So the version I did play, I enjoyed so much, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more DLC content with more story. There is more Johnny Silverhand, more Keanu Reeves, and we're also getting Idris Elba as a new NPC character in this DLC, and I'm really excited to see what they do with Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. That game looks so cool. That DLC. And I always loved CD Projekt Red's DLC. They genuinely feel like their own experiences, and they feel like their own games. The Witcher 3 DLC was phenomenal. Up next, we have Metaphor ReFantazio. This is the Knight Persona, the medieval looking version, fantasy Persona. This looks so cool. The art style is there. Everything about it screams Persona, and I'm just curious to see what they do with this time setting, how that works. It gives me like a Fire Emblem Persona vibe. I know that's kind of what Fire Emblem is now. It's basically Persona and all this other stuff, but this looks so beautiful, and the art style looks incredible. I remember hearing about this game years ago, and there was concept art that was just thrown out there that were like, hey, we're working on this game, and we've never heard from it since. So seeing this game officially unveiled and what it's become is really crazy, and it looks awesome. I'm very, very excited for that game. Another game that surprised me was In Exile, and they are going ahead and making an FPS shooter. It looked very much like a BioShock game, which I really loved the art style. It was steampunkish, but it had a bunch of like beautiful choices, and I guess the world could be shaped depending on what you choose. And with how they tell their stories in their games, I'm really looking forward to the narrative on Clockwork Revolution. I think this is going to be something interesting. I haven't played too many In Exile games, but I know that their narrative is incredible in their games, and I'm really looking forward to this new FPS adventure from them. Another game I have to mention, which was the game that showed off the Xbox Series X, was Hellblade: Senua's Saga. And I am really curious about this next installment. The first game was something else. I didn't play it with headphones, and I'm gonna do it again soon and replay it and use the headphones and see where that goes. But I am really impressed with how good this game does look. The first game blew my mind with how this game looks. It's unreal, and the way that you play this game, if you play it with headphones, you hear the voices of Senua all around you. I can almost imagine how incredible the atmosphere is with this game, and I'm excited to see what they do with the sequel and where they go and what kind of imagery they use, because the first game was just insane visually and what the character was dealing with. I'm really excited to see where they go and how Ninja Theory does the sequel to an already awesome game. And I will talk about next, before we get to our last one, Star Wars Outlaws. This is a game made by Massive Entertainment. Massive makes the Division, and their storytelling is really cool. I played a little bit of Division 2, and I played maybe 10 or 12 hours of the original Division. I like what I played, but I'm just curious to see what happens with this gameplay and where the story goes. I'm also in the headspace right now that I'm almost tired of the oversaturation of Star Wars. So this is really cool. Just right now, I'm just not feeling anything Star Wars. So I feel in a way, but that's mostly because of my opinion. on just Star Wars as a whole right now. But there was gameplay revealed today. I haven't been able to check it out, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with Star Wars Outlaws. And we are going to end here today with the last game that I thought was interesting in this showcase, and that's the whole second half of the Xbox showcase, and that is Starfield. Now, originally watching the showcase, and even in the initial part of the showcase, they had a Starfield trailer, and that got me excited. But then watching the showcase had me so excited for the rest of this game and what we're gonna see. And Todd Howard came out and he surprised me with a bunch of ideas for what Starfield is. And he was showing gameplay, and a bunch of Bethesda teammates were going ahead and showing off their aspects of their game and how this game is turning out. And I gotta say, I am really looking forward to Starfield. Just the inner space guy in me, obviously this game looks like it's pulling from a bunch of already established games. Everspace, we're getting No Man's Sky, and just a bunch of other games. That's just an amalgamation of all these different games, but with that Bethesda spin on it. Now I'm really curious to see how this game turns out upon release. I'm going to be buying this game. I'm not going to be playing it through Game Pass. I do want to play it on my PC, and I want to play it through Steam. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this turns out. I think everything that they did show was pretty exciting. With the you have spaceships, you can build whatever spaceship you can dock on enemies, and you can find people just out in the wild, and they'll become your companions, and you can create your own story and all this other stuff. And it's really interesting. And the more I thought about it today, the more excited I got with the idea of Starfield. Initially, after I finished the showcase, I thought it was overall a pretty okay showcase. I was excited for some games, but I was just hesitant on the idea of Starfield. But the more I think about this game, genuinely, the more excited I get, talking to coworkers about this game and seeing how I'm going to react to some NPCs in this game. You can have fans show up to you randomly if you get the perk, and you can become this incredible, renowned outlaw in space, or, hero, however you decide. And that's the beauty of Bethesda games. I'm really looking forward to this game. I hope it is as good as they say, and I'm looking forward to that release on that game. And that is a game I will probably be covering here on the channel. But I don't want to take up any more time. This is just a quick reaction. I was going to go ahead and react to the full 2 hours, just like I did with the PlayStation, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about these games, as I just didn't want to go ahead and watch the 2 hours and then just have, really small opinions. I would rather just talk to you about, these 10 games or so that I have that really piqued my curiosity. And just seeing games like Persona 3 Reload, and there's a Persona 5 Tactics game, and there's some other ones I didn't mention as well, but these games have me excited, and I'm really looking forward to the future of these games and seeing where they go and how they turn out, especially Starfield, because it's a game where it looks really cool, but I'm not going to be excited until it's like right about to come out, similar to Zelda, I bet. But we will see. I'm very excited for the future of Xbox and see where they go from here. But that's it for this episode today. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought about the Xbox showcase. Was there a game that had you excited? What did you think of the overall state of this showcase? Is there anything you think Xbox missed or didn't show that you wish they did? Please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, my name is Brandon, and I will see you all next time.